Next one is Senator Paudie Coffey, and you have 4 minutes, Senator Coffey, please.
And first of all, I want to welcome Minister Ross to the House, a House that's very familiar to him. And indeed, I served a term with him, 2007 to 2011. And I also served a term in the lower house with him also. But, Minister, I do want to genuinely, it's my first opportunity to publicly wish you well in your portfolio. I think you bring vast experience to the job, and I think you will do a good job because you have a good understanding of what's required and what's needed in terms of transport and tourism and economic development. There is no doubt, as we've heard from the previous debate, that transport and tourism are key economic components of Ireland's economy. And critical infrastructural development and strategic development is essential to unlock the potential of our regions. And no different to the roads, as mentioned by my colleague, Senator O'Donnell, other critical infrastructure, our rail infrastructure, our ports and our airports are also critical to unlocking the economic potential that our regions can offer to this economy. I've often compared Dublin and its environs to a vortex, an economic vortex, where it sucks the economic activity from the regions around this country, sucks our young educated people also, who often come to Dublin where the jobs are and unfortunately don't return to the regions. And until we address the long-term strategic decisions of our country in terms of regional development and critical infrastructural development, we're not going to change that, in my opinion. And there is a unique opportunity now for all of us, you indeed as well as Minister, to make strategic decisions in the interests of sustainable regional development. And it's for that reason I raise today, Minister, an issue that you're well aware of, and that's the long-term sustainable future of Waterford Regional Airport, which serves a region in the South East region that, in my opinion, has been underperforming due to the deficits in critical infrastructure. Some of those have been addressed, in fairness, over the last number of years with the development of the motorway to Waterford, and you can see already the economic benefit that that's bringing. Investments made by your department and by your predecessors in tourism initiatives have also brought economic activity. And I mentioned the Viking Triangle in Ireland's oldest city, Waterford City. I mentioned the Dacia Greenway, which is due to open later this year, which will link the oldest city in Ireland to one of the most beautiful harbour towns in Ireland, Dungarvan, running right across the mid-county of Waterford with the coast on one side and the Comras on the other. So we're very proud in Waterford and the South East region of what we have to offer. But we need help, Minister. We need help in terms of delivering the critical infrastructure that will then allow us to layer on top of that to bring economic activity and employment. Waterford Regional Airport over the years has gone through some difficulties, with some operational airlines coming and going. VLM is the recent airline that currently exists but has announced it is to discontinue its service to Birmingham and Luton. That's an important connection from the UK, our neighbours, that brings people into the region, that spends in the region and that creates the activity that we're speaking about. The board and the management of Watford Airport have worked assiduously and in very difficult times, and they were supported by the last government through the worst economic times of this country through grant aid of over €5 million to keep the airport going. But now, Minister, we need to move it to the next level. We need to move on, and a runway extension at Waterford Regional Airport is critical so that jet aircraft can land there, so that more operators will be interested in functioning and bringing passengers to and from not just Waterford, but to and from the South East region, where all economic indicators are showing we are underperforming. And we can contribute as a region to this economic recovery. We can contribute to job creation, which we're all interested in, but more importantly, we can contribute to the sustainability of the Irish economy, Minister. You have a very critical role in your ministership. You have challenges there, I do understand, and I do understand you have to spend your money wisely in terms of capital investment, but I can tell you, Minister, this is one project you will not regret if you invest in it.
Thank you, Minister.
I'd like to thank Senator Coffey for his kind words and congratulate him on his election to the House as well, and I look forward to meeting him here in the near future, and I thank him for raising this particular question. I'm very well aware of the difficulties which you're having, particularly about the airport in Waterford. I have a colleague of mine chewing my ear off, Deputy Halligan, on a daily basis about it as well. So you can be assured that your raising in this House is extremely useful, and it adds to the strength of the argument, which undoubtedly is there. I don't believe that you can, just to reassure the Senator and anybody who might think otherwise, I don't believe that you can measure the benefit of regional airports just in the annual profit and loss account or the balance sheet. I know there is a serious regional benefit for the whole locality in Waterford Airport and in other airports as well. So I'd like to say my department has for many years operated a programme of supporting our regional airports, including Waterford, with substantial levels of funding in recognition of their contribution to balanced regional development. The latest iteration of this programme covers the 5-year period 2015 to 2019, and this programme was approved in August last year by the EU Commission as being in conformity with the Commission's 2014 guidelines on state aid to airports and airlines. The National Aviation Policy, which was published by my department last year, acknowledges the role played by the regional airports in Donegal, Ireland West Airport Knock, Kerry and Waterford in promoting a level of international connectivity to support the tourism and business sectors in their region. I should also mention that an extra €10 million in capital funding is being provided in the programme for government for the regional airports. This is additional to the €28 million already provided for this purpose in the Capital Plan 2016 to 2022 and will enhance my department's ability to further support the 4 airports. In terms of capital support, my department's regional airports programme provides exchequer funding to the 4 regional airports to assist them with implementing necessary safety and security-related projects, including measures in these 2 areas that are requisite to comply with regulatory requirements. The funding that is provided by my airport for these safety and security purposes is vital for these smaller airports, and it is no exaggeration to say that without this exchequer support, the airports would almost certainly be unable to continue to facilitate scheduled passenger services. Over the past 5 years, Waterford Airport has received £9.6 million in operational and investment from my department. In April of this year, a further £157,500 in grant aid was approved for a number of security projects, including new X-ray equipment at Waterford Airport. While our support programme for safety and security measures is very important to the airports, it does not extend to investing in new capacity or expansions in airport infrastructure. The Exchequer is not in the business of investing in airports for development purpose, and has not done so, whether at state airports or regional airports. Decisions of that nature, for example, however regrettable, to extend a runway to cater for larger aircraft or to expand the capacity of a terminal building or to build a new car park, are commercial matters for the airports themselves. I am aware that the airport authorities in Waterford Airport have ambitions to extend their runway, and I understand that they are pursuing local interests for funding in relation to these plans. I will give them all possible encouragement. I was disappointed to hear last week that BLM Airlines, the only remaining commercial operator using the airport, has now withdrawn its London Luton service. BLM also withdrew from the airport route last month. However, I understand that the airport is already in detailed discussions with a number of airlines with a view to securing a replacement carrier.
Thank you. A brief supplementary.
Thank you, Cahill. And first of all, I do want to acknowledge the government support that has existed over the last number of years. And as I have said, I have been closely involved in ensuring that grant assistance was there, in fact, for the last 5 years with your predecessors. And I'm also conscious, and I'm working with Minister Halligan and indeed my colleague Senator Grace O'Sullivan, who's with us in the House here as well. I know this is a matter of deep interest to her also. But we want to work with you, Minister, as Oireachtas members from Waterford and from the South East region. You are correct, the Board of Management and the management at Waterford Regional Airport have already undertaken big advances in terms of the CPO and of land for the runway extension. They have the support of the local authorities of the region, in fact, who have put their money where their mouth is and support the airport. And also they're actively out there with business and commercial interests to raise funding to ensure that this runway extension is delivered. But having said all of that, Minister, we do still need support from you and from your department because you're right in saying it's not just about the balance sheet, it's about the knock-on economic benefits that access brings to a region. And, you know, I've mentioned some of the jewels in the crown in the Waterford area, and they're right across the South East. And indeed, the programme that's being run by your department and yourself at the moment, Ireland's Ancient East, Waterford City and County, and indeed the region, will play a deep role where we're trying to emulate emulate in a different way what the Wild Atlantic Way has brought an economic benefit to the west of Ireland, we need to do the same now to the east and the southeast. And Waterford Airport is a critical component in that. So we look forward to working with you, Minister, to try and advance the interests, not just local interests, these are regional and national interests, so that our economic activity of our regions, as my colleague has said, as many colleagues in this House will continue to say, we need to develop critical infrastructure in our regions if we are going to unlock the potential that lies inherently in them.
Do you have anything to add, Minister?
Yeah, just very briefly, just let me assure Senator Coffey that I'm sympathetic with everything he says. He's got to realise the restrictions under which we work, and indeed he will know that as a government minister, particularly not just the restrictions of the Irish Exchequer, but particularly the rules about state aid under which we work as well. And we have to abide by them. But I will... Deputy Halligan has asked me to come and see it, and I'm very willing to go and have a look and explore what avenues, and I'll inform you when I'm going, of course, and to explore what avenues are open to us to make sure that those type of crises which Waterford Airport met just in the last few weeks over VLM are not repeated.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Next is Senator